Hey, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Are we live here?
Yeah, I just started the recording, but I can edit it to whenever. Um, so I can trim off some minutes at the start here if you want.
Oh no, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
All right, sweet.
Everything.
Um, yeah, so are you ready to start?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I got my little daughter. She's running. She's running around in the back, but I'm good. Yeah, man, I'm good.
okay, sweet, sweet. I also have a little dog here that's being a little fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I've been
hmm
really looking forward to speaking with you after I just came across your artwork, which was reposted by this guy, Chaos Backwards, who goes by Soak, who I believe that you know and have collaborated with. And
Yeah.
so I checked out your page and I was just pretty blown away by your work. It's like very just creative and awesome. And
Yeah.
I just really, really like it. So I'm super hyped about this interview and appreciate you coming on. And I'd love for you to be able to share about your experiences in life in the graffiti world and how you came about to be you. So I guess my first question is just like, where'd you grow up? How was your childhood? Like, what was that like in like the early days? Was it good, bad? Yeah, and then we'll get into the graffiti part. But
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for, setting this up, man. This is it's always good to preserve, what I'm saying, our culture and to capture it, But yeah, I'm born and raised in Miami, man. Born and raised in Miami from Colombian and Puerto Rican parents. Uh, right, I've been traveling the last couple of years, but right now I'm in DC. But yeah, I lived in a couple of places, but born and raised in Miami most of my life until like my 30s, and that's when I started. Well, mid 20s started, traveling pretty much everywhere. But yeah, I started graphing when I was 11 years old, man. I was an artist. My mom, she saw the art in me, so she pushed it. She would get me markers and she would get me colors and create, anything that I could stay creative and get my mind on staying creative. Um, and all that was in Miami. So I was born 73. So I'm second generation graph writer from Miami. Yeah.
nice. Wait, like your parents were into it too? Is that what you mean by like second generation or?
No, no, second generation meaning there was a generation before me that had started, and then I came in right after.
Oh, right, right.
So, because it started in Miami, started late, early, pretty early '80s.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
did seeing that graffiti around you like inspire you when you're a little kid and make you want to go do it? And do you have people that were like pushing into it or
Well,
such?
the music. Well, the music, man. It was the music. Really, music was a heavy influence for me. In Miami, the music definitely had me going. Hip hop had just started. So all the electronic, electro funk style of music, hip hop was something that was influencing me. And then you had the movies, and there was a few writers in the neighborhood where I grew up, and all that inspired me. Yeah, man, all that. Pretty much the music, the movies, and then Subway art came out and stuff like that. So that was influencing me. You know, it still does, man. Subway art still influences a bunch of writers. So yeah, that's where it all began.
Nice. So did you always have the name rasterms37 or did that kind of like evolve over time or how did you come up with that?
Well, no, Rust terms, no. I was one of the first tags I had that I got a little known for was Tracer and Riot. So I was real young. So I started when I was 11. I started graph when I was 11. So, and I'm 50 now. So I've been doing it for a very long time. So, but no, some of my first tags, I would jump back and forth, trying to figure out which one fit me. And, as I started getting more into the style of it, I like to work with, just the structures of letters, you know what I'm saying? So I was Tracer and Riot. Those were two of the main ones. And then in high school, I was still doing Tracer, but then I would also do JMS and Riot, those three. And then I came across the word term, and there was a guy that was tagging phase, and I said, "Oh, you can't tag phase, that's one of the gods of graffiti. You can't." So I told him to write term, which is kind of like almost the same thing. A phase is a term, and I told him, "That's a cool name. I'll take it back." And I took it back and I started writing, But I started writing terms when I was, I think, 16. Yeah, 16, 15 or 16. But before that, it was Tracer, Riot, and those tags there.
Right. And so then did you add rast terms onto it and like extend it, or is that just...
So yeah, well, we could definitely get into that. Ras is an Ethiopian term known as, translation means head, or, like saying king, So I took on that title as, king of my own terms, Ras terms,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's where the Ras comes from. But also, the spirituality aspects of my work influenced, me growing up. So, I had a couple of titles before terms as well, So, that's what Ras means, Ras terms, But that came later on. That came when I was like 17. No, like around 18, I started adding Ja or the word Ras in front of it, Ja or Ras. Ras terms or Ja terms, And that's because, I was going through a spiritual growth. A lot of the, pretty much all my work has a spiritual aspect to it, And there's not a lot of graffiti writers out there that during those times that was pushing that, but that's what I was known for, the spiritual aspect in my work.
Right. So like, where does that spirituality aspect come from? I thought it was like some Rastafarian like influence or something. Are you a big weed guy with dreadlocks, or is it like...
I mean, yeah, no, I'm so yeah, man, I grew up Rastafari. I grew up Rastafari, and I grew up in the conscious movement. Growing up in Miami, there's a big diasporic, cultural influence in my work and my roots too. Being Colombian and Puerto Rican, a lot of there was a lot of African, there was a lot of just Latino flavor in my work. So that got me into studying more about culture and things like that, and especially the music. Hip hop music was it was a lot different back then. You know what I'm saying? You had Public Enemy, you had Poor Righteous Teachers, and they were mixing it with reggae, and you had KRS-One. So a lot of that was influencing me. At the same time, I was studying, and at the same time, I'm doing graffiti. At the same time, I'm learning from the streets. So, I did grow up Rastafari. Yeah. But not all Rastas. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of questions that a lot of people don't really ask me. But a lot of Rastas don't smoke weed. I barely smoked weed, but I grew up. I do have the dreadlocks, but I did grow up in that culture. Which is predominantly Jamaican, but it's also African descent, or just people that are culturally awake. And that's what you see in my art.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just reading all your captions on Instagram, I'm always just you can feel the energy behind it for sure.
Thank you, man.
So do you recall kind of like the early days in painting and what that energy was like, and what it was like when you're just starting out, and then like how you kind of like evolved over time and what kind of shifts you went through?
Yeah, man. I mean, it became my life, you know. Um, it was a long time ago, so you know, I gotta switch it on. But it became my life. I mean, I was definitely a letter man. I don't know, it just felt good to be able to get letters and structure them and move them and fill them with colors and put characters. So, you know, I was already drawing. That's the thing. I was already drawing when I was a little kid. I was drawing comics, you know, like Huckle and Jekyll and Mighty Mouse and all that stuff. And, you know, I saw that in the graph that I was seeing around. I'd see that. I'd see the cartoon. I'd see the, you know, like the outer space and all that. And you know, I was into Star Wars as well, you know, back in the 70s. So all that was, I saw that in graffiti. You know, I saw space, I saw, you know, cartoons, I saw letters and form, and then, you know, I saw them in the deepest places. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like boom. In Miami back then, you had to like go deep into the hood to find these things, you know, because it wasn't out there like that, you know.
Nice. Just yeah, it's kind of like just part of you from a early age. How are you like acquiring spray paint? Was it like some like giant loophole that you had to go through like at shops, or were you just ordering it? Or
I mean, you know what, when I really started, I was you know, the first things that I got handed down was markers, or making markers too as well. Of course, you know, there was spray can, but when I first started, I loved the ink, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we would get shoe polishes. You know, there was these shoe polishes that had little like a little dipstick that you could write with, you know, and I would practice a lot on paper too. I didn't start off just piecing, you know, I was, you know, like I was piecing on paper, but mostly tagging. And then, you know, I started meeting more writers. So then we would go to abandoned places, and then I practiced more my letter structures. And we're talking about 14 years old, 15, you know?
Yeah. That's cool.
But the spray paint, well, it was always there. It's just, you know, like when I first started, we're talking about when I first started, markers, man. To this day, I love markers. You know, I love ink, you know, but the spray, you know, of course, spray can is nothing can beat.
Yeah, no, I can definitely tell that you love markers by just like the prolific like size of your monikers on trains. Like I've never seen monikers so like on the scale that you do, and it's just super intriguing and fascinating to like see a moniker that big. It's like almost like a whole car moniker. It's like everyone else's moniker is like a little like tiny little square squiggle quick, but this guy's out here just doing like these like massive pieces of monikers. So do you recall like your first kind of like trains and like train yard monikers or painting trains, like how you got into that?
Okay, so the monikers. So you know, as I got older, I became a letterman. You know what I'm saying? Now I do a lot more characters. So I'm getting older, and I'm more into, you know, letter structures. You know. The monikers came later. The monikers came around, I think it was 97. My boy Baser, he introduced me to the hobo writing, you know, the train monikers, the ones that, you know, the original ones that weren't graffiti writers that were just doing monikers, you know. These were hobos, you know. So there's a science to it. There's a culture as well to it, that they communicate with each other. And it's a whole subculture of, you know, hobo writing, and he introduced me to that. And there was a few graph writers already doing it. I mean, you had like the solo artists and stuff like that. I mean, Colossus of Rhodes, which he's not a graffiti writer, but he's a moniker. You know, one of the kings. You know, of, you know, monikers. So I got influenced by that. It just felt good. The thing is that I was painting trains already. I was already doing pieces on trains. But when I started seeing the monikers, and I don't know, it's a whole different energy, a whole different vibe. You know, it's a little more quiet. You're not rattling. You know, you have your paint stick. They're done with paint sticks, you know. So I wasn't doing them that big back then. They were small, and it evolved. It used to be like this little stick character, and then eventually over the years, it evolved into the angel that I do. You know, or they're angels, but they transform as well. You know, so the monikers came around '97 when I started doing them. You know. But they were different. Again, they were different. Now they're at a scale of, I put a lot more energy into it, and I'm a lot older. So all of my experience within the graph world, within the spiritual world, you're starting to see it full on, boom, just, being 100% aspect of my work,
Yeah. No, it's definitely just crazy to see. I've never seen any monikers like them, and then your drawing style is also super unique. So do you like refer to that character that I guess like you commonly draw with like all the hands and stuff? Is that's like the angel that you're talking about? And
I call it angel. Something. So it's just a character, but it was inspired by East African art. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a whole aspect of me. I don't know if you got to see. Did you get to see the show that I did for the Museum of Graffiti?
I maybe if you posted on Instagram, I may have saw it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you probably saw it. So there, I was able to really put in and show the aspect of my work that the spiritual element and the graffiti element. That's really important in my work, man. That's what I've always known for. So the elements that you see in my work have a spiritual, and that's where you see the angel. The angel is an East African inspired work, but it's also embodies me and my life of being a graph writer, and that's why you see it morphed. If you look at the East African, the Ethiopian style, the way they do it, they have more traditional. Of course, it's traditional style, but the way I do it is super graphed out. You know what I'm saying? And it carries energies, and I don't know, man. It's a whole, the whole moniker world. Once you really get into it, it's amazing, man. Like I could really break it down to you, brother. Just on a hot day when you're holding that streak, or you're holding the marker, the way it just starts sinking into the steel. You know what I'm saying? And it grabs it, and, because it's hot. It's just amazing, and then that it's grabbing onto that steel and it's like just there, and then it's just going to take off and travel through the United States. Some of it goes to Mexico, some of it goes to Canada, and again, I started when I was it was around 1997, I think, when I started doing them, but then I faded out a little bit because I moved. I lived in California for 12 years. I've lived everywhere. We haven't even gotten into that, but the last couple of years, since like 2014, I've been back on the steel, harder, just doing monikers. I do paint trains sometimes and put letters on them, but most of the time it's just the monikers because I feel like there's something really intense about it,
Yeah, no, personally, I absolutely love monikers. It's just super cool to like. Each one, there's just a story behind it of some guy who's just trespassing his way through the train yard and decided to leave a mark. And somehow, like, I mean, you can call them hobos or just like wanderers or whatever you want to.
Yeah, travelers.
Yeah, travelers. But yeah, the things that you see on them, like the artwork is like literally like for just such a quick piece. Normally, it's like it always just triggers my creativity. I don't know if you have any like favorite moniker artists at all that you've
seen. Definitely Soak is one of them. My boy Black Days is another one. But the traditional one, there's tons, man. There's so many, and what's dope is that they have their stories too. You know what I'm saying? Each one writes their feeling, their expression. Right, you know what I'm saying? Right there. And some of them aren't even artists. They just doodle whatever. You know what I'm saying? They have to. I don't know. It's something old. So we're gonna talk about monikers. It's something tradition, man. It's a tradition of a culture that's really like embedded in an American, struggling life. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, hey, here I am. It was more like, I'm on this train right now and I'm going from here to here. I've never hopped a train, but I know tons of people that have hopped. There's a couple of people in my crew that hop trains. To this day they travel from one point to the other. It's amazing. I've never done it. Maybe one day. You know what I'm saying? But for now, no. But I'm still within that culture of that it's underground and it's beautiful, man. Everybody, I mean, what's his name? I forget his name. There's tons of them, man. There's just so many. You just walk through the trains and through a yard and they're all there. You know what I'm saying? And each one has a story, has an image. Some of them are, like comedy. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are about struggles. Some of them are about, like spiritual, like they went through a spiritual experience, So, it's different things. Some of them are just tags, Sometimes I'll just bust a tag, It's free. It's very free. It's to me, it's super free because it's quiet. You get to hear everything. You're not really listening to the rattles of the cans and stuff like that. You're just kind of like you can hear the wind blowing. You can see down the tracks. It's an amazing experience. I have a video on it, and it kind of like explains a little bit of the feeling.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, it's just you're very in the zone, I guess, when you're next to a train and it's just you and this massive piece of steel. And yeah, it's like it's like this kind of raw and unfiltered and pure form of artwork, since I guess, like you're not, I guess, technically supposed to do it, but people just are going to do what they want to do and like express themselves. And like, it's kind of a test to like not just bowing down to the rules and just valuing expression more than, like some silly rule that says you can't do this or do that.
Do you do monikers?
I've never done the one, but I'm gonna order like a bunch of markers so I can doodle on some trains, because I have some ideas and drawings that I'm trying to do, like just like random like crazy sketches.
Oh, nice.
But
I see the shrooms. That's nice, man.
Yeah, no, I try and combine just all these things together into like my pieces, because I guess my brain's very like ADHD, and it's like if I'm just seeing like a single object in like a piece of work, I'm just like, it's not as intriguing as something that's just like a cluster of all these things bleeding into each other and combining. So I try and like it's difficult to get like what's in my brain onto canvas, because I want to like make deers bleeding into like wolves, bleeding into like turtles and stuff. But I'm kind of getting there now. So yeah, I got some cool ideas on the way.
Do it.
This next question might be kind of an obvious answer just based on your last response, but I know you're into like stickers too, so maybe it might be a slight runner-up for the stickers world. But the question is just like, what's your favorite surface to paint on? Like train signs, buildings, canvas, stickers.
That's a good question, because I mean, I don't think I have a favorite. I pretty much, what it is too, is that I'm an artist I never really hammered my foot to the ground, and I let people know that about everything in my life. So every aspect of the street art world, I pretty much do. You know what I'm saying? And it's phases that I go through. So I'll, right now I'm back. I'm always doing monikers, but I just jumped back on doing the slaps, the stickers, and then I'll fade out, and then, I'll go do a wall, couple of letters, and then I'll take a break from that. Then I'm always working on, canvases and wood pieces and wood signs. I just do it all, brother. For real, man. I'm an all out, graph writer, writer. I'm an all out writer. I do it all. I'll just go out there and just tag sometimes. I'll just go out there and do fill-ins and throw-ups, or, it depends the feeling, or, what's working through me. Like this morning, I finished 4 pieces of wood. I'm not probably going out tonight, but I know usually on the weekends I'll either go do trains or, go into a tunnel. You know what I'm saying? And every city that I've gone to, I continue to do work. You know what I'm saying? All aspects of it. So the question is, what material? I like it all, brother. I like it all. As long as I'm able to release the energy and channel the work and to keep on with that what started me from the beginning, fulfilling that vibe. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? And I think writers should get to that point. All writers, what I'm saying, should get to that point of experience, because I do wheat paste sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of graffiti writers are against wheat pasting, or the wheat pasters are against graph writers, or the monikers don't like people to paint trains or letters, or what I'm saying. There's that whole mixture, and I stand there in the middle saying, well, what I'm saying, I feel that the spirit inside of me wants to create all of it, and I've been doing it for a long time. I just didn't start this, the expression of as many as I, like. Sometimes I'll go up to, when I was living in Colombia previously to DC. I was living in Colombia, and I learned there that a lot of the writers there use bucket paint because they can't afford paint, or it's really hard for them to go steal. If they steal paint, it's real cheapy paint. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them use bucket paint, and so I'll go out there sometimes, and I'll do a bucket fill. You know what I'm saying? And that's something old too. We used to do that back in the days because we didn't have money for cans, or we weren't stealing, but. All the aspects of it is beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And it's dope, and it empowers something inside of you to keep on with that creative spirit,
Yeah, for sure. It's like there's all these forms of expression, and you're not like limiting yourself to a single one.
Yeah.
And it's dope. It's dope that just like the sheer amount of work that you put in. Because I'm watching your Instagram feed, and it's just like this constant production. It's like a full-on box plant, just like shooting out cardboard. It's a crazy amount of output. So
it consists. I mean, the idea is. I mean, I could get deep into it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a body, so we're expressing the creative power in us. So I create a body of work, you understand? And the consistency of life works through should be the consistency of your creativity, creating this constant body of work. It's the same thing as being alive, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my perspective on that, to be consistent and to have a body of work as much as you can, you know what I'm saying? While you're here, that to me is my purpose, to be creative. And it took me a minute to understand that about myself as a writer. You know what I'm saying? Why am I still writing at the age 50? You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes stop, A lot of kids just do it for a couple of years and disappear, but there was an energy in it that just became part of my blood flow. You know what I'm saying? And I continue it, and that's where I stand with it,
No, I like that analogy a lot. Yeah, it's definitely like just who you are, it's like you can't change it almost. Yeah. So you talked about all these like locations that you've been just traveling around to, and you've moved around a lot.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, do you have a favorite spot that you've been painting, or just living, or maybe just give us a little breakdown on where you've been and like what your experience have been in those places?
So born and raised in Miami. That's where I started. That's where it all started. But around the year 2000, I started heading towards California. I had friends that had moved there, and so I went up there and started staying with them, and I ended up staying there in Oakland. And so I consider Oakland. I love Miami, but there's nothing like California. Nothing. There I shifted too, because in Miami I was known as a letterman. I just did letters, But then when I moved to California, I started just putting the angel everywhere, I don't know. I just kind of switch it. I do letters over there once in a while, but I just ended up destroying the crew that I belong to over there in California is PTV. It's one of the hardest hitting crew out there, from when I got there. In Miami, it was 7 Up and BSK and FS, which was some of the hardest hitting, graffiti writers out of Miami. So those are mostly, these are the different levels that I'm saying that I would go through. Is Miami was mostly just letters. I do characters here and there, but it was mostly letters. And then I started shifting when I moved to the Bay, it became just character based. So PTV is mostly a character based crew, and they do wheat paste and stickers and all that. Miami was a straight up graph, and in between that I did monikers here and there, but it was mostly graph. But if you're gonna ask me where's the dopest place that I've ever been to with graph within the writing world, man, Bogota, Colombia. I have never seen so much graph. I mean, New York has a lot, what I'm saying? And the Bay has a lot too. It's getting, but man, in Colombia, everywhere, what I'm saying? Like you could just go up to a wall and, hey, can I paint here? They didn't care. Or, the cops would come by, just give them like $20, or just people you just go up to the wall and just start, and people see what you do and they like it. So Bogota, Colombia was amazing. New York is dope too, California, but to live now ain't nothing like California. I'm in DC right now too. So I've lived in a bunch of places, but all over the United States. I lived in Madison, Wisconsin. I lived in the Bay. I lived in Miami. I'm now in DC. I've painted everywhere too, all the way from Seattle to Miami to Boston to Mexico. I stay steady painting. So, the whole aspect of it. But yeah, nothing's like California. California is amazing.
Nice. That's a cool answer.
Where are you? Are you in California?
No, I'm just up the West Coast in British Columbia, just a little bit north of Vancouver.
Okay. I never crossed over, but I made it up to the tip of Seattle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to come to BC, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Lots of mountains, lots of nature.
Nice.
Just a connection to nature that has just influenced me a lot in a positive way. Just being in this like gorgeous environment every day and just like being appreciative of this like unbelievable scenery and just creation every day just kind of like blows my mind. Before it was like existence, I was just living in like this kind of like suburb prison and it was like no fun, but we drove across the country and we escaped that now. So that's good. But yeah, it's cool to hear about Colombia. I'd imagine that like the artwork there was just like sincerely like amazing too, just because people are just like coming from basically like not like a first world country and they're just giving it like everything times 10. And I'm sure like, I mean, they just have this culture that embraces it as opposed to like trying to sweep it under the rug.
Right. Yeah. I mean you see indigenous folks doing, young indigenous folks doing graphs, so they're expressing their culture everywhere, man. And it was good. I mean, that's where my mom is from, so I was able to return to understand that side of myself too, and just to be there as a cultural, spiritual person, but then seeing so much graph that I'm already a graph writer, it switches it on. I mean, once you leave the United States, brother, I advise people to travel as much as they can, and my daughter, but yeah, to travel as much as they can so that they have an understanding of who they are. Because even me being in Bogota and me being Colombian, Puerto Rican, but Colombian, I still understood that there's, how I am American, what I'm saying? And how like it's crafted in us. And for us to detach from that, you need to travel to understand other aspects of the world, to understand who you are, and to be able to open up a little more, you know?
Yeah, no, it definitely completely opens up your mind when you just like shift into a totally different culture. I've never been to like South America or even like Mexico, but
Yeah.
I really am interested in going there someday, I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, is your daughter into artwork as well? Do you just hand
Well,
her pile of markers and
I have
tell
a bunch. I have a bunch of kids, man. My oldest is 24. And then my youngest, she's running around. She's 2. So I have one son. So I have 5, but I have one that he's super into the arts. He makes music, you know. They all do art. All of them do art, but they chose to, to follow their careers or, live their life. But I know when they get down and sit down, they could draw. But there's only one that has really, I've seen him go tagging and stuff, So.
Yeah, that's fun. Have you ever been to East Africa or Ethiopia, as you mentioned before, as like a big influence, or would you like to go there and check it out?
Yeah, see, I'm yet to go, man. I'm yet to go. So I feel, it's something that bothers me because it's so embedded in everything that I do. I mean, you look around my household, we have this back there, but it's all over. I mean, it's all imprinted in me. Ethiopia and Egypt, which we call Kemet. I'm yet to go, So hopefully within the next couple of years is where, yeah, I've been wanting to go since 2000. I've been wanting to go, but it's just, everything shifts, and when you have children or you're moving around and stuff like that, but it's coming. Yes.
No, awesome. Yeah, so my next question was how you kind of got introduced, or I guess became a part of the PTV crew. I know there's like some very popular writers in it, which I believe like Gats and like Swampy. So I don't know if you know them or have a relationship with them, or Deadeye's PTV, which I saw you've done collaborations with. But as you said, they all paint, like characters, and it's like a very like character oriented crew. So I'm sure there's a story about how you got into that.
Yeah, those that's my family out in the Bay. It's funny because they're pretty much off from the Bay. Swampy was PTV, but I don't think he is anymore. I think he's been out of it for a minute. But Gats is, that's my homie. Deadeyes, that's, it's like family. I haven't seen him for a couple of years, but I stay in contact with them since I left the Bay. But yeah, that's a strictly Bay crew. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because a lot of them don't really leave. They're all there. And I met them when I first moved there. When I first started going to the Bay. When I first moved to Oakland, it was Deadeyes that I first met. And again, I'm an all-out graph writer, but some of them don't do letters. Some of them just do wheat paste, stickers, anything, hammer wood to the wall, with art on it. So PTV was more of a learning to expand, like be more open instead of just like the strict hardcore graph writer, And it was, Deadeyes opened the doors, and I met so many people, within that culture, that I think it was Deadeyes, Broke too. Yeah, they're my family. Broke, Grow, Sad Cloud, all of them. That's my family, man. And they put me in PTV because I was hitting. I was I went out there to be creative. So, and we all got down and we collaborated. What's good is that they're still at it.
That's dope. And yeah, some of them are just like wildly successful as well. And I'm sure it's good to have like fellow people surrounding you that you like relate to so much.
Yeah,
And
we live off it. We live off it. There's a couple of us that live off our art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to get to that spot. You have to put in years and years of work.
Consistency and bodies of work. Yeah, man. and putting yourself out there in every city. That's the thing. Every city that I've moved to, I've slowed. This is the year that I've slowed down a little bit at the age 50. But every city that I would move to, you know, it was like it was like a button. I have to start again. You know, have to let people know who I am. I moved to this city. I have to start again. I have to let people know who I am and work with them and build it. And you know, it's life. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I imagine that just like moving around and just being in more places is probably a better way to get more recognition than just being like concentrated in like one area almost.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that either, because you know, you go into cities and I could tell you who are the kings of Miami and who's the kings in New York, who's the kings of DC, and you know what I'm saying, because they hit it all the time, you know. But
Yeah,
I advise them all to, you know, jump on a plane and go hit somewhere else a little bit.
definitely. So graffiti is kind of almost like contrast to like the art gallery world in a way. So I was wondering how you view like the art gallery world and how it connects into the graffiti world. And you know, you have like graffiti artists that are putting on shows and exhibits, and then there are some graffiti artists that say like, oh, it just belongs in the streets. So I'm just kind of wondering how you see kind of like those contrasting things and what your take is on that.
Well, yeah, first, okay, so my story about that is I didn't care about galleries, you know what I'm saying? I was just, you know, I moved to California to grow weed, you know. I was doing indoors and I was doing some outdoors, but I was, you know, still doing graph and all that. And in Miami too, I left Miami right before this whole Art Basel thing was going on. So I wasn't part of it at the beginning, but I left my history there as an artist. I would teach a lot of young kids too. But it's the people that loved my work, started buying my work, wanted some of my work on their album covers, on their book covers, on their clothes. So, you know, it's the people that kind of like moved it that direction, you know, and I went with it, you know, and then I started doing galleries. I wasn't against it, but it wasn't, you know, the first thought that came to me. I think, again, I'm not a person that hammers my foot to the ground. So I think if somebody's going to knock something, usually this happens in life. The thing that you knock the most might be just one of the most important things in your life. So you got to check it before you say it. So if I'm going to be a graffiti writer and I'm going to say, I'm never going to do galleries, I'm never going to do galleries, they might knock on your door one day and you might need it. You know what I'm saying? So having an understanding, you know, of what's revolving around you. So there was galleries around me. I wasn't doing them like that. But then, you know, I started to, you know what I'm saying? And I don't see nothing wrong with it. You know, I'm not into that world. I've always been a peacemaker. I'm not into going out there. I wasn't one of these graph writers that I got to go beat somebody's ass or something like that. That wasn't my mission. My mission was to be as creative as possible. You know what I'm saying? To express that creative power. So, you know, there is that war that's going on. You know, the muralists against the graffiti writers against muralists, and why you know, you're going to show here or keep it in the streets and all that. I'll be honest, man, at the age 50, and that's just a number. I keep throwing it out there, but at the age that I am right now, a lot of things inside of me have evolved. So for me to state something that I said when I was 15, now that I'm 50, you know what I'm saying? No, I mean, I've done the Smithsonian. You know, I put work in the Smithsonian that had nothing to do with graffiti. It was all spiritual. It was works on Rastafari and African consciousness and all that. And so, you know, that's a whole aspect that I don't really talk about too much, but it's there. A lot of people know that I've done it, you know. But I've done the Museum of Graffiti, and I've done, you know, the Oakland Museum, and I've done things like that. And my suggestion to writers is just allow your flow. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to do it, then who cares if somebody else is doing it? You know what I'm saying? Just keep doing you. and it might evolve into that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I stand with that, because it's really important, man. You're right. There's a fight, you know, of this keeping it real, or you know what I'm saying. And the truth is, we all need to eat too. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm telling every writer out there, if you could live off your art, there's nothing better, man. There's nothing better. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody in these galleries, if they love your art, you do your art. You know what I'm saying? You know, if it's a t-shirt company, you do your art. You know what I'm saying? That's when it shifts though. That's when it becomes a problem, when you start working for somebody and doing your art for somebody else according to their plan. Real artists, that's hard for them to do. You know what I'm saying? That's hard for me to do. That's why usually when I work with people, it's usually my style of work. I keep it my style of work to the whole thing, you know. And I do evolve with it because I do abstract art too. But I don't think so, man. I mean, we could go to the early fathers of graffiti, which is like Phase 2, Ramelzi, A1. A lot of people don't know about A1, but he passed. But A1, you know, he did subways, you know, but then he moved to I think it was Italy or Spain or one, you know, he moved to that side of the world and just started hitting hard the galleries. You understand? Phase 2, the master of letter structure, the god of graffiti to me, you know, the supreme mathematics. He as well did some gallery pieces. It wasn't his first choice, but he pushed that there shouldn't be no difference. It's an art form regardless what anybody says. You know what I'm saying? So it should be in places, you know? So, you know, we could go back to the fathers of it, you know, and that's what I do. So, you know, I'm a firm follower of those, you know, that were before me, and that, you know, that we should allow it to grow, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, everybody has their own view on it, but just don't close your eyes, or, you know, don't hammer your foot to the ground and not allow yourself to grow, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a really great answer. And I definitely agree. It's like, you shouldn't try and limit yourself just because, you know, you're caught up in some, you know, like following what people are telling you to do.
Or some ego trip, you know? Because even your ego evolves as well, you know?
So yeah, have you had any like particular shows or events they've gone to, or galleries that have just done like super well, and you've had just really good experiences from them, like putting on big art shows and stuff?
Yeah. Every art show I do good, man. I can't complain. You know, the Museum of Graffiti. I just finished doing True Born in Chicago a month ago. That did good, you know. I've done work with her before, her gallery in Chicago. Right now, I'm looking to see if I go do one in Brooklyn, you know. But again, see, I do it all, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, you know, just yesterday I put a giant sticker at some mailbox right around here. You know what I'm saying? But then on a couple of days ago, we were doing trains. Yeah, you understand? I keep on with the fullness of it, you know. So
yeah,
there will be more, you know, and more commission work and more, you know, everything, you know.
Yeah, no, I respect it a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any mural festivals that you're looking at coming up in the future, or that you've done? And
I used to do them. I haven't done them in a minute. I'll tell you that, man. It would be dope to do one.
Yeah, no, I want to see a huge scale, massive mural. I mean, the people want it for sure.
Oh no, I do have a mural coming, hopefully in Madison, Wisconsin, and then I have another one in Chicago coming. That they're gonna be big, you know. These are paid jobs, you know. So those yeah, I'll do murals, man. Of course, but usually when I do a mural, I usually do my character or letters. Unless they pay me a lot of money, then I'll do something outside of, you know what I'm saying, the paid work stuff, you know. But usually the murals that I've done, a lot of them are not paid, you know. I just ask for the wall and I'm like, hey, can I draw my character there? And they'll be like, yeah, you know.
Mhm.
I don't really get paid off murals. That's what I'm trying to say. What I do get paid off is, the gallery work and all the commission pieces that I do and everything. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe not directly from the murals, but I mean, you gain the recognition from the spot, and people that live around there will, appreciate it, and then you gain at least followers, which could in turn into revenue in the long term, or just people that appreciate the work regardless, and just putting yourself out into the universe is kind of like the most important part of it all, like at the core of it.
it
But
is. It is. It takes its own direction. You know what I'm saying? It takes its own direction. Because you could just be a bomber, bombing, and you hate the fact that there's galleries and you've bombed everywhere. We know some big time bombers that won't do galleries, but eventually, I seen some of their pieces in galleries, you know what I'm saying? Or, them doing paid work, So, you just got to be open to it, and like you said, it has to be everywhere. You have to put yourself up everywhere. And it's not an ego. It is an ego driven thing at the beginning, but you start understanding why the necessity of putting images out there, and letting that be out there too.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild when you just step back and just like, it's like human nature almost. I mean, it is human nature to just like express ideas and express all these things. So, I mean, you're really accelerating this like inert, like intuitive kind of action. Let me know if you can see my screen, because I wanted to just I'm sharing right now. Okay. Because I want to look at some of these pieces of yours with you and just kind of get your comments on them. These ones, so you do these kind of like scripture, letter, I'm not sure what you call them, but it looks kind of like these like alien hieroglyphics, but they look dope, and each one is like completely unique from what I can tell. You're not repeating any letters. So what is, like, I guess, what do you call them? Like, what does it mean? Are you writing like these stories? What's the meaning behind these like symbols and scriptures that you're writing here?
So I could give you a couple of answers. What do you want? The real weird one, or just the one that they would teach in school?
The weird one, for sure.
Okay, the weird one, to me, it's light language, and it's channeling. I've been doing that since I was young. If you look at old black books, I always felt like the structures of letters, that they should be evolving, and they all have a certain form, and they give certain direction. And you know what I'm saying, it's pure channeling, you know what I'm saying, because it doesn't really say anything, but it says a lot to people. So a couple of years ago, I was doing them more and more, and somebody wrote to me and said, yo, it looks like a Semitic writing. And I was like, what is a Semitic writing? I didn't know that, and not that many people were doing it. And I researched it, and pretty much a Semitic was like a light language, you know what I'm saying? But it's a visible form of it, and you could explain it in so many ways, because you could go in a trance doing it. You could just be listening to music, just flowing through it. You could have your ego all in there and just be like, yeah, I'm going. You can have everything involved in it. It is kind of like almost like graph, but the name that they've given it is a Semitic writing, because it's up to the observer. And that's what's cool, that you called it alien language. I like to hear everybody's. I don't care if it's the weirdest thing or the dumbest thing or whatever they want to, whatever title they give it, that works for me, because that's helping it, exist. You know what I'm saying? So I've been doing this since I was young, man. I was always into, I'll be honest, who was one of the first ones that I saw do a movement like that? Was Keith Haring. Keith Haring did certain movements like that. So I was young, and I started doing it with my letters, right? With my tags. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to completely destroy it. you know, that it has to say something. Phase two. So, you know, I used to reason with phase two occasionally. And he said, if one of his quotes, this is a quote, if you can't read it, at least feel it. And I took that to heart, you know what I'm saying? Because that meant so much to me, you know, within the graffiti world. So, you know, because a lot of people look at you and I mean, it's usually going to say somebody's name, you know what I'm saying? Okay, cool, it says somebody's name. I rather more feel it. And that's why the letter structure, the feeling of it, the movement, you know, the layering, it all means something. So you completely destroy it and you start getting forms. And that's how you reinvent things, man. You know, the whole world is about that. You know, you build and destroy, you go through phases and things evolve and things come out. You know, and people are gonna make fun of it. You know, people look at that and man, that's not graffiti or whatever they want to say about it, but it's pure channeling. So the title that somebody gave it, Semic writing, I call it light language. You know what I'm saying? It evolves, they're never the same. Each one has its own existence, you know. It's a pattern. I could get real deep, brother. It's a pattern that exists somewhere in the universe. Because if the whole world, if everything if everything's a sacred geometry or fractals, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Those are tiny bits of fractals, you know what I'm saying? That they exist somewhere, you know, like a mathematical equation across the universe. They're there. And I get to sit down and invoke them. That's my view on those things. And they evolve. You know, I've been doing it for a long time too. I didn't just start because a lot of people are like, oh, this guy does it, this guy does it. Okay, cool. That's his invocation of it, you know.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it, and it really like communicates just how like crazy talented Rasterms like hand style is, and I'm sure it translates to just graffiti tagging as well, because you see these like shapes and connections that you wouldn't see in like any other writer, and you're like, how does he, where are these coming from? And then you like look at these like scriptures, writings, and you're like, oh man, this guy is like on some other level just channeling, you know, like whatever it is. And it's like, it's truly it melts my mind seeing this, and like it's neat to see how they kind of like evolve, and like I'm sure just like constantly just whatever's going through your brain is just a wild ride there.
Well, sometimes it's not even you know, thinking, you know, there's no thinking. Sometimes I'll be thinking about it's pretty bugged out. Sometimes I'll be thinking about, damn, I got to get the bills paid, but my other side of self is just flowing, you know what I'm saying? Like all sorts of thoughts are jumping in and out when those things are being made. You understand? So, and it's like interweaving all into the thoughts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this train. You see that?
Yeah. So
isn't that crazy? If do you see what I wrote there?
Yeah. So there's this like light coming on the left side of the train, and then you look up, and then there's like this skull cloud over here. And I guess what we're saying is that we're kind of all just moving towards the light and basically evolving into like this realm of beyond this one. Is that kind of what you're alluding to, or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's funny that you post this. You know, I just did this like 2 days ago, but I didn't want to do my name. That doesn't say my name. It's the first thing that came out of my head, and it's not skirt like some people. It was just skirt, SK. While I'm writing it, while I'm doing the outline, I just did an S, I did a K, I did an E, and I'm like, where am I going with this? You know? And then I just put an R, and I didn't want to do it because I was there just strictly to do streaks, you know. But then my boy Resist, he's from DC, one of the kings of DC. He was like, no, you got to do letters. You got to do letters. And sometimes I'm easily persuaded by my good friends, you know, to do good things. And I was like, all right, I'll do it, man. You got me. I didn't want to do it, man. So I just did skur. I don't know. But while I was painting, he took that picture, and I looked at it, and I was like, what is that up there? You know, and I zoomed in, and I believe in all that, brother. I believe in all that, and I don't care what people think about me. You know what I'm saying? I believe in energies. I believe in electricity. I'm not religious. You know what I'm saying? I'm a spiritual person. Yeah, I used to be religious when I was young. And I believe that we're being, connected, like I'm telling you, brother, like there's so much things about us that we're just learning right now, which is especially wait until this AI starts talking about us, about things that we don't know about ourselves. Wait until we get there, brother. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start seeing, we're entering a different time. That's why I was never one of these graffiti writers that was basic, and it wasn't my letter structure and all that. It was more of me showing up, and I'm going to talk about different things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, my mission was because I was guided by that spirit, So that's why when that picture, and I didn't even see the rainbow on that side. My boy pointed it out. I said, yo, you see that? And then he's the one that said yin and yang, that duality nature, which I live within that dual nature. I call it the duality. You know what I'm saying? And while I was painting that, I wasn't feeling good at all either. You know what I'm saying? And basically the picture shows, it's the V, right? You see the triangle, you see two things, and then me standing there pointing to the earth, and these are the two things above me, as a balance, but bringing me down to settle on the ground, and I could get deep with all that too, brother, because monikers is just not. So about monikers, growing up in Miami, they practice Santeria. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a form of voodoo, right? And it's real big in Miami. And it has influenced my life. But as a graffiti writer, this is going on, brother. This is going on, like, because you're walking through the train tracks and you see offerings. You see gigantic cakes. You see tons of dead chickens. You see blood. You see toys all over the train tracks. People giving offerings. So since I studied all that, and a lot of that is involved in my work, and I practice that, the moniker thing, when you're going to go do monikers, especially in Miami, brother, you're going to come across a shitload of dead chickens. And you're going to be like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? And it's all offerings. It's the crossroads. It's where the spirit meets flesh. So this is something that it might be weird to people, but I don't give a shit, man. We got to start talking about these things, brother. What am I going to tell you? Yeah, I wrote my name. I was fucked up. No. When I went there, when I see these things, I give offerings sometimes. There's dead goats, brother. Giant dead goats in the middle of the train tracks that you're walking. So these are offerings and act, to some people it doesn't do shit because it's pagan or whatever the hell. But in all essence, everything that we do has a reaction, has an effect, especially if there's energy involved, electricity. So I'm seeing all these offerings. I give offerings as well when I go to train tracks. So to me, monikers has always been that as well, as an offering, as a ritual, as a means of sending out an energy and it returning. You know what I'm saying? And this happens in Miami, brother. When you go to Miami, you'll see it.
That's a really, 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 really cool perspective.
People don't talk about this, man. They don't want to tell you this. You know what I'm saying? This is all over the train tracks. You know what I'm saying? They ignore it. It's like,
Yeah, they just think it's a dead chicken or a goat, but it's
right.
really more than that. No, that's crazy.
So now you understand where I come from and how my art carries that energy.
Yeah. No, I love the piece. It's like you're sending out this energy and you're receiving it back, and it's a whole, spiritual process, basically.
I mean, but truthfully, we're gonna study. I mean, I don't know if you follow Graham Hancock, but Graham Hancock, a lot of his studies, of anciency and his books and all that. I've been studying his books for a long time. And, if you just go backwards, and that's how you're going to see forms, shapes on walls, you know what I'm saying, giving you a certain direction, doing a certain ritual, telling you a story, and a lot of ego involved, because a lot of them were kings and they wanted to brag and boast, or a lot of them just wanted to show what was going on. And it's the same thing that's happening now, just in different forms and different shapes, but it's the same thing. So expect it to be there. In the future, it's going to probably be more intense too, brother, because we're headed down that way. The way the earth is moving right now, and this shift that's going on within the people, you see it. If you're not seeing it, you know, it's there. You know, the art moves with that. You know, the consciousness of the art moves with it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2 kind of quotes here from Rasterms recently on his Instagram was the wild style light visual language that gives us a glimpse of energy of eternal. Don't stop the body, spirit rock.
Yeah.
The second one was in 2020, I channeled the series of these specific sheets of paper. I can get really deep with these flowing shapes and forms from wherever they come from, deep within the universe in my mind. I love each movement, the many definitions people give me about them, the transformation that the earth is going through right now. If we allow ourselves to see just a little more deeper, our new images will create a newer reality. So yeah, first off, I just love the way that you speak, and you can tell that you're very like in tune with the energy of the spiritual. And to be talking about this other realm, like to your first point, some people go their whole lives without interacting with this like energy that is much greater than us. And to me, it's kind of architected from this other world of just like pure divine nature. And there's this infinite world that like lies beyond this one that you can tap into at any point. And I remember back when I was like in my smoking weed days, not that that's necessary for like to interact with that energy, but I would just feel so great on the way back down from these trips, because it was like I was just absorbing these beautiful, like boundless, loving energy and soaking it all up. But before that point, I would be, you know, like clearing out and saging all of this like negative interference in my own energy field, and like just purifying my energy field. And to talk about like spirit, you know, like certain chemicals can kind of really put you in touch with your spirit. And to me, it's like this 5D, 6D, 7D, like whatever dimension the spirit is, that's like the most important thing about what we are and who we are. And there's no like limits to our spiritual connection. And when you say like the transformation that the earth is going through right now, it's kind of a like interesting notion and premise. I really like that quote. I think I kind of like to think of the universe as some like giant computer or machine, and everything obeys like this set of rules and programs that's like dictated from this supernatural being, from like the berries growing from like just little tiny berries into like stardust, to like bears and all species that act in accordance with their natural law, to the ways that like particles are interacting with each other, and how there's kind of this invisible energetic field that is like unifying us in a sense to being a part of something that's much bigger than us. But as far as like transformation goes on like a global scale, I think that, you know, as a species, we're learning and ascending, or at least trying to figure out how to move back into harmony and accordance with nature. But depending on the rate that we evolve, there could be some purging involved, which would be the earth clearing us out because we failed to, you know, honor and respect its turf. But back to your quote, if we allow ourselves to see just a little more deeper, our new images will create a newer reality. I think you're absolutely right in that, is that like we have the power to transform our reality like completely, but it all starts with that vision, or mentalism, if you want to call it that, if you are into the Hermetic principles. But underlying concept is like this variable of our visions that govern what we can bring into the world. And it could be a subtle energy shift of opening doors of resistance that were blocked, or it could be a radical shift where your entire mind is deconstructed and reconstructed into one without limitations or beliefs that are limiting in any way. And I just really completely agree that where we go stems from our views and what we can see and the energy that we can absorb and bring into the world. And if you're constantly, seeking out farther and farther, you'll be able to manifest those energies. I
couldn't have said it better, brother. That's great. That's beautiful. You got into the comedic. Yeah, I mean the Kabbalion and everything. That's good, brother.
Yeah, and that was just some thoughts when I was looking.
That's beautiful. You just see what you just did there. Now that's Semic writing. You could incorporate everything that you just said there and physically manifest it, not just through sound. You know what I'm saying? All that could be manifested, like the drawing that you showed me, and that every image is a sign. Every image is a language. You know what I'm saying? From the beginning to eternity. You know what I'm saying? And I can't say that I believe in this one God deal. I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? I believe in everything is. You know what I'm saying? All is mind. You just brought it up, so. All is mind. So everything is what is, and we are the constant energy of it. So involving that in my graffiti as an early age was really important for me to understand why I was doing it. But it also gave me a voice too. It gave me a voice, and it was a power behind it, because I felt we all as children, man, there's nothing better, brother. Think about it. You're part of nothing. You're just a child, and you're just trying to see things, and everything is like amazing. And all of a sudden, this graffiti world comes and into your life, and you're able to create and be part of it. Man, it was amazing as a child, brother, because it came with music, it came with people, it came with dance, it came with, places to go, and still remaining like yourself and hidden. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, it gave you it made you want to dance. It made you want to rap or sing, or it made you want to, you know what I'm saying? All the aspects of, they call it the 5 elements of hip hop. I think I like that. That's cool, whatever. But even, the early graffiti writers were listening to, Black Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? So that was spewing out, like Dondi, he would do the Children of the Grave. That was spewing out of their creativity. You know what I'm saying? So graffiti to me is one of the biggest powers. That's why it's all over the world, bro. It's everywhere we go, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna go anywhere. It'll be here infinite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's definitely just a part of us, whether we like it or not. We're bound to these symbols and what they communicate and the meaning behind them. It's why I don't know how much time you have left, but
my queen just took the baby, so we're good.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to ask you about this piece because I guess you posted it recently. It was from 2009, and you can just see the wild colors, the just amazing. I mean, most graffiti pieces, if you look at them, they're not nearly as vibrant, colorful, or as detailed as this. And this is just where does this talent come from? And what is the supernatural realm that you talk about in your work?
Well, okay, so this piece right here, it was done around 2009 or 2010. I'm not really good at remembering, old numbers, the years. I'm not good at but this was done on the Dream wall. Dream He was killed a bunch of years ago. I don't know if you know his history. He's from the Bay Area, one of the kings of graffiti in the Bay Area. And this was a wall that they used to paint back in the days. I'm not the only one on this wall. I have Spy is not that far from me. All the kings lined up on this wall. It's incredible. It's a long wall. They turned it into a storage unit, lots of storage units. And they decided to repaint the whole thing. It's still there. You could drive into the storage unit and they still have it there. I think it's been there years. And I was the last one there. Like there was one spot left, and I showed up later, and I was talking to Crash at that time, and Spy was not that far away from me, and so was what's his name, Crayon. Crayon was there too. We're talking about kings, and they're like, yeah, you can have this spot. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna let loose. And that's what I did. Again, it says T, sometimes I write T-E-R-O-C-K or T-E-R-O-K. That's short for terms. I write Turok. That's just straight up graph language, you know what I'm saying? Turok, you would add letters at the end of your tag. They don't do that much now, but when I was younger, like let's say, it would be like Termski or Termster or Terms Rock or Termsism. You know what I'm saying? Those are like, I don't know, it just enhanced your name, So I did a Turrock there. And a lot of people didn't know I could do letters. A lot of people know me as a character when I was living in the Bay. So I just went off with the letter structure and I just flowed. Again, it was more of those, I hope you feel it, than read it. And again, the move, I love, man, letters. They're so, okay, we have the 20, the alphabet, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean we're limited to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you could, you know how much power, I'm talking about power to self, not power over people. When you're able to get the letter A and just turn it and twist it and layer it and move it and turn it, you know what I'm saying? It's so powerful. I don't know if it's just it's engraved in us that it feels so good. So I love to do that to letters. Sometimes I could do readables like that skr that I did there on that chain while those things are hovering over me, the energies, But then this one, I just decided to really just, it's, I had an interview not that long ago of a guy that does, talking about psychedelics and stuff. And I grew up with a lot of African traditions in my, understanding of African traditions at an early age. And build and destroy was something important. Has always been important to me to create. The process of creating and change is building and destroying. So to destroy a letter, to rebuild it, you know what I'm saying, is life, you know what I'm saying? It causes a change, it causes an energy, it causes a, so that Turok, I'm known to do super wild style letters. A lot of people say, well, phase 2 kind of like did that. Well, hey man, you know what? There's a consciousness, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of us that work within different levels, you know what I'm saying, we reach into that consciousness and there's similarities in that building,
Yeah, definitely. It's like instead of just being bound to like an A being like these 3 little lines, you can really abstract away like anything that you want from that space and like make it your own. And you do that very well in your work for sure.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. It's a joy to do it, man. I'm always doing letters. And that's another thing too, man. The gallery world does not like graffiti. You know that, right? The gallery world, there's very few. I'm talking about like, those the big time galleries, man. The elitist ones. They really do not like graffiti, or writing, But again, the stone that the builder refused, shall always be the head cornerstone, you know. And recently they sold a Dondi piece for thousands of dollars, you know what I'm saying? A lot of money, because they're going to start having an understanding of the importance of the real, I'm talking about the real graffiti writers, I mean, the ones that are really dedicated to it. Because there's a new branch that is coming too, that it's okay, I'm not against them, but they're more just looking at pictures and copying pictures. And I just hope that those understand who they are and how they could add on and express fully and open it, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just, you know, just copying something off the internet, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny that the gallery is just like they're so against it, but really it's like the culture, and that's what they're ignoring. And but some galleries are okay in that they actually recognize like the value that it brings from the culture, and they are a little bit more open-minded and can embrace that.
They have to. How are you not gonna embrace it if it's in our face all the time, always? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So you wrote this, I guess, the other day. It was just in the near future, we'll learn about how images carry energy, and some of those images can protect and activate energy inside the body and mind just by standing there and looking at them, especially if the image is on repeat. So yeah, I love that quote. It's very in tune with what you're saying before about, you know, your body being connected to this like this vessel that's channeling all this energy into your work. And yeah, these images and symbols, they hold a lot of power and can activate, you know, like this energy within you. And especially, yeah, I guess like the repetition of your symbols or anyone's that's doing it consistently, there's like a charge to that energy, I think. And you definitely can tell if you walk into someone that has been like crafting their symbols, you feel the energy radiating off the canvas. It's not like a light feeling, it's like a strong whip you in the face type feeling. And I definitely get that from your work. But yeah, what were you thinking about, I guess, or what did you mean by that when you wrote that?
So about that, at the beginning, I'm being a little, sometimes, you know, I'm a little funny sometimes with what I write. It says, in the near future, we will learn about how images, right? What I'm saying there, just that little part right there is, you know, we're a culture under amnesia. I mean, what do you call it when you forget?
Yeah.
Amnesia. How do you say it again? The word?
I think it's amnesia. Yeah.
Yeah, amnesia. So we're like a culture that's under that. And what I'm trying to say by that is that this already happened. That's what I'm trying to. I'm just being kind of funny about it. In the near future, this has been happening since time began. You know what I'm saying? But we kind of like forgot that that's going on. And once we realize that, then the power of the images, you know what I'm saying? Images create our reality. Okay, images create our reality and are embedded into our subconscious. Right? Images create a reality. And if they're on repeat, they become embedded into our subconscious. So the repetition of music, the repetition of, there's so many levels to it. The repetition of eating something consistently creates a reality inside your body structure. The repetition of doing weights creates your muscles. The repetition of music, you harmonize to it. I mean, a lot of people become music. I've seen people just listen to gangster music and they're gangsters. You understand? Mm-hmm. So the repetition of something has always been a way to create realities or to capture people, you know? And that's what I'm saying there. It's been going on. Plus, okay, so when I write one thing, I mean a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So when I was writing that, I was remembering that I had this book. I don't know where it is, and it sucks that I lost it. It was in one of my moves, and it was Ethiopian art, right? And it was ancient Ethiopian art. Now, what they would do is they would get these scrolls, and the priest, they call them abunas. But these aren't normal abunas, you know. These are not normal priests. Our Father, these are guys that lives in caves, you know what I'm saying, and create art in caves and are constantly possessed. So these dudes would make these scrolls and put pure energy into it. Now, I wasn't there. I can't say if it was real or not, but I do believe in it. You know, I do not believe in it. I do feel it because of the images that we do. So the church, you know, within the church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they would find people that were so-called possessed, right? And they would get these scrolls and these images and present it in front of these people that are so-called possessed. And you know what I'm saying? And by them looking at the image and the flowing of the writing and the movement of the letter, because they could write like this, you know? Their words could be written, you know, like that. And then they'd have the angels. They'd have some angels in there too as well, and all sorts of old ancient art. It would cast, check this out, it would cast whatever was in them out of them. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a book that talked about this, you know, and they have the images there, and you could tell they're powerful images and powerful writing. It's like, what do you call that style of writing? It's channeling, but there's a word for it, free something. But yeah, they would use these scrolls to get things outside of people. You understand? And when I was writing that was coming to my mind. You know what I'm saying? How the images that we create can cast out things, can bring in things, especially on repeat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hitler, he was a genius at this with propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Repetition. He knew this. He knew this. You keep this on repeat, it's going to create, you know what I'm saying, a movement. It's going to create a thought. It's going to create a math pattern. You know what I'm saying? So within that little thing that I wrote, all that was going on in my head, the understanding of how images create our reality. And that was the sole purpose of writing that. And I've given speeches that I start with that because I see it as important to create, you know, to allowing certain changes to happen within my personal life too. You know, the images that I hang around my house, I look at them all day, man. You know, I walk in, and you know what's funny? I said this in the other interview. Check this out, brother. I'm sitting here, right? But the energies around me, you know, the cells and the things that make my body, they see everything that's going around me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at you. But I know that there's a bird out there because I keep hearing it. I hear the cars passing by, you know, and I'm not even looking at it, you know what I'm saying? So our body itself takes in the light of images, the light of sound, the sound of sound, you know what I'm saying? So it's important for us to be in control of, for ourselves, to be in control of the images we put out there if we want to see a certain change on this earth, you know what I'm saying? And that's everything that I wrote there. That's how it is, man. That's how I am, you know. And then, yeah.
I like it. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Terrence McKenna.
Oh yeah.
This is a guy that I listen to. I used to listen to him a bunch, but
Yeah.
he would always used to say like the world is made of language, you know.
Yeah.
And language, they're like words are like spells essentially, and like so you got to use them. I mean, there's like these powerful, you know, symbols that are behind these things, and like whatever you channel, you know, you're going to tune into that energy.
Yeah.
So, and I like that point of like the repeat of the food that you're intaking is going to manifest itself too, because I saw you posting, I think it was called sea moss, was it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you eat sea moss a lot?
Yeah,
Or
so my queen, she's a she's an herbalist and a holistic healer. So she got me into sea moss. I take it every day. Yeah. I
nice.
mean, it's important, brother. I mean, look, back in the days when I was younger, I was a hardcore Rastafari, and I would tell all the dudes I kicked it with, yo, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. And they'd be like, stop being stupid terms, and they go to McDonald's and all this and all that, whatever. But now, I mean, I'm even coughing now, but you see all this smoke going on in the air, and it's coming from your side. You know what I'm saying? Well, more this side. You know what I'm saying? Are you
Yeah.
getting it over there? Are you getting it?
Oh yeah, in Squamish, it definitely like a few days or a few like weeks almost now, like every summer it's like smoky, but it's coming from a few kilometers like outside of Squamish. But every season, like in British Columbia, there's like always a huge fire season, and it's terrible. Like people caught in the interior dealing with like 6 weeks of heavy smoke, so it's very very, very bad. And it's not good for crops. It's not good for your health. It's not good for a lot of things.
So again, what I was saying when I was 15, 17, I'm still saying it, how important it is, what we have on repeat. And even eat is in the word repeat. You know what I'm saying? So because of right now, the whole 5G, the whole COVID thing, all this smoke. I mean, it's not smart to not be healthy right now. It's not smart. If you don't, I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying it's not a great idea you know what I'm saying? To add on to the smoke, or to add on to the 5G, or to add on to the COVID to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely taking care of your body is going to make a big difference in your life. That's why I'm grabbing a mountain bike. I'm like the only person in Squamish who doesn't own a mountain bike here, but everyone else mountain bikes. But I'm getting one soon. I'm like kayaking and like working out.
I saw that, but I saw your video that you posted. I was like, what? Where is he, man? There was like this big lake, and man, it looked amazing there, man.
Oh, on the kayak?
Yeah, you just posted some of you being out by some mountains and trees and standing looking over.
Yeah, it was probably just down the road in Britannia Beach where I used to live. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, really good place to kayak. But I definitely big respect for, you're always preaching the awakening movement, and like consciousness movement, it seems. So
the dual nature, yeah.
I love that aspect of your work, because it translates to who you are, and like it's awesome. And then this post we posted for a long time in my life. I never believed in demons, but at my age now, big red things with horns is bullshit, but demonic energy is very, very real. Just like positive energy, demonic energy is very real, or so real. They come as thoughts, as possessing the energy in humans. It's very real. And I'm convinced. Intruders, alerts.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you write that one?
I mean, pretty much everything that's going on in the world right now, brother. Again, I'm not talking when I say demonic, I don't mean horns and ha 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 and yeah and all that stuff. And it's fun to draw those things up because it's the power of myths. Those images are really just telling a story. But in that thought of, I just feel like there's energies out there as much, because every time I get online and I hear people positive, I said, no, you got to talk about both of them. You got to, if there's a positive energy, there is a negative energy. Now, does it mean they're both bad and both good? I'm not judging that. I'm just saying what they, their action, what I'm saying, is from negative demonic energy or positive energy. Now, should we kill everybody and just end? No, you know what I'm saying? Because people have to learn. That's why they're here. Those energies are here. And what's funny is that after that picture of me painting the train with that skull, whatever it was, cloud. It was just a cloud, and it just happened to look like that. And the rainbow shining on this side. That to me was that. And I wrote this before I went to do that train. That we all have that energy. You know what I'm saying, within us. And at the same time, we do got to protect ourselves. Whatever you want to call demonic, it's an energy, you know what I'm saying? Everything is energetic and everything is electric, you know what I'm saying? Everything has, power energy, less energy, you know what I'm saying? And some things are intruders. I mean, if we could talk to ourselves, they would say, well, okay, cancer would be a demonic energy. You know what I'm saying? It's an intruder. You understand? Or I'm diabetic. You know what I'm saying? So I have to fight that demonic energy. To me, it's demonic. Now, is it somebody sitting there, I'm going to help? No, it's me understanding that doesn't work for me. And I'm learning from it. And I eventually have to get rid of it. You understand? And that's what I mean by demonic energy. And that's in everything, brother. That's what I'm saying. Everything is everything. I can incorporate it in graffiti too, man. The negative aspects of graffiti, could be a demonic energy. That's what I call demonic energy. It's something that really that you didn't learn from, or that's really completely destroying you. That to me is demonic energy, So if you ain't learned from it, it's demonic. If it's sitting there it's demonic. I can't say there's positive things going on there. There might be, if you learn from it, So, and I think it's just life. The things that you learn in life, I incorporate it in everything that I do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I see what you're saying. I think, it's kind of ironic little like twist that this dark energy can also serve you like positively as well. I mean, because it's like the toughest times and like the darkest times is what, like builds your character and makes you stronger. So without those, you're not going to be anywhere near as strong-willed or anything. So, and then you could kind of look at it like, or any energy that's just in the way of you manifesting or coming into like your higher self, that's just like the version of you that's like full of light. Anything that's blocking that path is in this other polar opposite field. So it's something that we all kind of deal with on this regular basis, is reconciling with all this positive energy, negative energy, and we're just balancing and juggling it together
and learning.
Yeah.
The word earn is found in learn. And that's how you earn your days. That's how you earn your money. That's how you earn your existence. That's how you earn your things that are attracted to you, by learning from it. So I'm not saying demonic things are completely bad. Remember, I said if there's a learning to it, there's an earning to it. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing that we need. I never said we don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it's here, and we just got to learn from it. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's some people that want to go jump in it and, go do whatever that needs to do. That's them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against those people either. I'm learning from them. I might be even helping them by saying, yo, I saw you did that. I ain't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. So that's what I mean by demonic energy. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so did you say earlier that you did a podcast just talking about psychedelics only?
No. He was kind of like he wanted to talk about my art.
Okay.
He's more into psychedelics and breath work and all that stuff. He's a good brother. But my art just doesn't. That's what's dope, man. My art just reaches a bunch of different different folks, man. You know, it's not just stuck within the graffiti realm. You know, my graffiti has always had that spiritual aspect. So within so-called conscious community, there's a lot of people that love my work too. You know, so I get interviewed by them, and you know. But it's funny because I haven't done psychedelics since I was like in LSD since I was like in high school. I barely ever smoke herb. You know what I'm saying? I deal with herbs though. See, that's another thing. When you said Rasta, you said two things. You know, the dreadlocks and the weed. Now, that's the thing. Everybody's always like herb. You know, we call the weed herb. The ganja, the weed,
Yeah.
we call it herb too. I'm sure you living where you live, you know how much herbs are around you. I'm sure that you could, you know what I'm saying? Like just growing. And I'm not talking about weed alone. That's what I'm saying. Like when they say that the healing of the nation, the weed is the healing of the nation. The herb is the healing of the nation. They're talking about all sorts of herbs. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the herbs. I take herbs all the time. My queen, she makes teas all the time, man. For my diabetes, for the cough that I've been having, we've been taking some herb medicine that she's. So it's not just, you know, it's not within the Rasta community. It's not just weed. Weed is just something that has been pushed, you know, to the forefront. But if you know, when you sit down with real Rasta elders that live in the mountains, they know all about bush herbs. You know what I'm saying? Herbs for your stomach, herbs for your headaches, herbs for prostate, for lungs, for, you know what I'm saying? So you know, that's a you know, something that people don't, you know, they're used to just dreadlocks and weed, you know what I'm saying? That's all they get. But it's not that. There's such a deepness to it, you know what I'm saying? Because it returns you to the beginning to understand now, you know. And it was Rastafari did influence. I can't say that I'm a hardcore Rasta now because like, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual though, super spiritual. But you know, Rasta was, you used to see that in my work all the time. You still do, you know, you still see aspects of it in my work. But back in the day, oh man, it was heavy, you know what I'm saying, in my work. And it gave me a culture, it gave me a freedom, it gave me power, it gave me, I felt an equality, you know what I'm saying, a wisdom, an understanding to when I did graffiti that had Rasta involved, or culture, you know, what I was studying, you know, it was in my graffiti. You know, a lot of graffiti writers don't do that. I don't know, it's changed a lot, you know. But still, you know, it's the way I see things, you know, a graffiti writer that just destroys, I see that as, okay, well, he's part of the aspect of destroying the system. You understand? And they don't know it. They're just out there destroying. I'm seeing a dude destroy this whole neighborhood, you know, and why? Because to me, he don't see it this way, but rent is too high around here. You understand? How is it that rent is so high? So come over here and destroy this area, man. Let these people know that rent is high, even though if you're just gonna write your name. You understand? So there is political graffiti as well, but to me, it's all like one. You know what I'm saying? It's just how you want to. It's how you view it and you put it into you know, into what it, you know, you see it as, you know.
Yeah, no, I love that the Rastafarian is just embedded into the roots of who you are, and it's like you express it in all of your work.
Yeah,
I've had a super amazing like time talking to you. It was great meeting you for like the first time.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you just sharing all your wisdom. I've definitely learned a lot, and it's been definitely. Well, I haven't done mine, but definitely one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. I saw the one you did with Ewok, and that's super dope. And just to show the different aspects of the graffiti world, planet, you know what I'm saying, the universe, it's dope, man. You know, and I like I told you from the beginning, man, I'm so glad that you're, you know, capturing it, preserving it. You know what I'm saying? So people understand what we're going through, you know what I'm saying? And they can't judge it just by face value. You know what I'm saying? Just there's a lot of things going on within this culture that people just be like, like they hate hand styles. Like I've always grown up and they hate bombing. But man, if they study the kids, there's so much to learn from them. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is influenced by society, or it's influenced by family. For me, it was influenced by society, family, spirituality. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know that growing up. I was living it to understand it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these writers nowadays, man, like they just, it'd be cool to see a small awakening or an awareness, because this whole woke word, they destroyed the whole woke word. So an awareness of why they do it, you know what I'm saying? Because so that the people themselves have an understanding why they do it, and then the people that are looking at it, you know what I'm saying, may get a different aspect of it, or I don't know if they will or not, but it's there though. If they really want to learn about it, it's a lot deeper than just I wrote my name and I got out of there. You know what I'm saying? That even certain writers themselves don't know. And I've always talked about that, man. There's a psychology as well, as a it's like an equation. You have this kid in the hood and now he does graffiti. That's a mathematical equation right there. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then you added the kid, you added to a society and equals graffiti. Now, why? Why graffiti? You know what I'm saying? Why did this kid go, what is he going through that caused him to do this? Or what is it that he wants, or is it that he needs or wants to be part of? So there's so much into it that has never really been studied, that even the writers themselves don't care.
Yeah, the psychology about what makes people, go out and just risk it all and just go over whatever they feel like is pretty fascinating. But what's more fascinating to me anyways is just hearing all these different perspectives of people that are involved in graffiti and artwork, because it's there's just so many different points of view, and it's interesting to hear them all. So that's what I'm trying to create, is just this little universe here where people can come and express what got them into the world of just visual, I don't want to use the word expression, but channeling their mind into the world. And there's really like an infinite amount of like things that could be painted or just unlocked that you can tune into.
Oh yeah.
And that's like the beauty of it, is that there's like no limits to what you can actually get out there, I think.
It's gonna stay evolving, especially with new things. When society starts creating newer things, there's gonna be new forms of ways of putting it out there. That's the thing, that the writing, graffiti, it's always gonna be here, but it's gonna come in different forms and shapes. The more cameras they're gonna, the different ways they're gonna find ways to do it. The more it's on the internet, the more they're gonna try to find the ways of doing it. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? It's just gonna stay evolving too.
Yeah, it like feeds into each other now, and like you have these like virtual. I mean, I've made like these virtual filters where they take you into like AR worlds, and you're teleported into like this new world, and you combine it with 3D art on your computer, and then combine it with sound, and I think sound as well just definitely has an influence on my art. I'm sure your art, when you're painting and you're like, you tune into the sound, and like the sound is now influencing the work that you're seeing on the canvas.
Yes, sir. I've done digital work, the NFT, and they have put a couple of my stuff in the metaverse too. I'm not against it, because Let me tell you something. I'll tell you something because you live amongst nature, and you know that regardless what we build, it's okay because nature will always win. Will always win. The equation always ends up nature winning. No matter how many robots I could have around me today, nature will always win. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's when wait until those AIs start studying nature. They have to. They eventually have to study nature, and that's going to be their response. They're going to be like, "Yo, nature will win us." You know what I'm saying? Because they'll rust, they'll break down. You know. So I'm confident in that victory of nature always winning. So they could build whatever. I could be in whatever verse or whatever. I'll enjoy it, but I know the answer to that. But check this out, brother. Before you head out, there's a book called Aerosol Kingdom. That to me is a really important book on the history of writing and graffiti because it goes a little in depth to what the writers are really feeling. It's a really good book. It's hard to get. And I was talking to Kat that they should start making reprints, but they're expensive. They're out there. But that book is really, really good, brother. It's really good. It's called Aerosol Kingdom.
It's by Ivor L. Miller. Is that the one?
Yes. And it has the front is Vulcan standing in front of his piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, that book right there. If you want to get a little deep into the science and the psychology, that book is a good one, man. Of course, aside from spray can art and subway art and all the graffiti books, every graffiti book is good, but this one gets into some of the stuff that I'm talking about, and what those writers, that's the generation that I come from, but I wasn't living in New York, man. I was living in Miami, but I was invoking the same, what is it they call it? Collective consciousness. You know what I'm saying? There's a collective consciousness that we don't need the internet to tap into what that guy's doing. You might capture it in your consciousness. What I'm doing, somebody might capture it on the other side of the world. There is that collective consciousness. I believe in that. And a lot of these writers, not a lot, but like in that book came to me later. I didn't hear about this book until probably 5 years ago. And nobody really talked about it. It's been around for a while, and it gets deep. And I even wrote to Kat. I was like, Kat, man, can you add me on to that book? Because I fit in perfect with the science of what those guys are talking about writing. It's a really good book. So look at that book, and then of course, all my stuff is in the other room, but this is the only place I can really talk right now. But I just got this one from Kat. Have you seen this one? The Wide World of Graffiti.
I'm seeing this for the first time right now. What's this one about?
It just came out. It's called The Wide World of Graffiti. And Kat was the one that just put it out. It just came out. And this just explains everything. All of it. From bombing to galleries, the questions you were asking me on, how is it that, how can you be in galleries and be a graffiti writer or just a bomber? Or, it just talks about all the aspects of graffiti. This is a good book to have. I give thanks he put me in here too. But there's some interviews in here by some super dope artists like Rhyme, Os Hamels, Os Gemios is in here. Small little interviews. It's a good, I think Saber has an interview here. I don't know. I gotta look at it. But it's a really good book.
Nice.
It just costs, it's a nice, you could get it from the museum, or you could contact Kat, man, on Instagram and be like, yeah, where could I get the book from, And these are good books to have because they're more, I don't want to say mature, but more, the serious books. There you go. It's just not just boom, graph, but then I have those too. I have small books that are just about graph, you know what I'm saying? But those two books that I'm telling you, those are good to have, if you want to get a little deep into more of the science. And then, of course, the phase 2 books, but it's hard to get those. I have tons of stuff, brother. I have tons, man. It's just in the other room. A lot of my work I sell, so I don't have a lot of body of work. I have tons of outlines. But if you ever want to do like another interview, I could maybe post up over there and just make sure that the kids ain't here. and we could talk about letters, because you did show me the Taragua style, but some of the letters, you know what I'm saying, you could define them different. I mean, not define them, but there's more to it than just the letter A or the letter B. You know what I'm saying? That you can do with each letter. They give direction, they give sign, they empower. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, they also destroy too, like we said. So if you ever want to do that, I could, just because I'm in my room right now. I don't got too much stuff around me, and I've been holding this all the time.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be down. I saw this other post of yours on your story. It was like ancient symbols or something, and there's this other one that I was forgetting too. But you posted a picture of some books the other day. I was like, I wanted to grab the titles of them, but
yeah. And then who's that?
This is just my sketch that I did, and it's just kind of
nice.
like to your point of just like
fluid,
kind of abstracting away from like what letters are conventionally, and just
right.
I mean, you can imply the shape, but then add all these crazy twists to them. But you can still make it a letter if you try hard enough to read it.
That's like an organic style. Kind of looks like something like you would see like under the earth. Like you ever seen those drawings of just like sand and moving like that it could be like grass growing on top of it. It's very organic, or it could be even blood vessels too. It's pretty dope, man. I like it.
I'm trying to. I mean, this is just still primitive stages, but I'm looking forward to get something really wild onto like the walls soon, and that can really emphasize like this like psychotic, crazy element of like the world that I'm trying to get out there.
I mean, that's what it's. That's what it. Yeah, and then a lot of graffiti writers too, or writers back then, studied Picasso, studied Malevich, studied Dubuffet, studied, what I'm saying? They knew the science to that. And a lot of writers don't want to bring that up because it's like, oh, but they were, they're not graffiti writers, you know what I'm saying? But they understood that art was there as well, you know what I'm saying? That would influence graph writers like A1, and would influence even Basquiat, you know what I'm saying? Which he wasn't too much of a graph writer, but they had an understanding of that stuff too. So it's good to study, man. It's good to study. If you're gonna get into something, to have an understanding of it, it just you become a part of the body of it, And go crazy, man. I love letters, brother. I love letters. We can sit here and just letter after letters. I got so much here, man.
Yeah, no, I believe it. Yeah, I just wanted to. I mean, maybe we can talk after, but I don't want to keep you for too long. But I just wanted to have one final question, which is just what do you have coming up in the future, and what are your goals for next few years? What do you want to accomplish?
First, personal question. So the first thing is my health. I want to keep working on my health. That's the first thing. Second is, allowing the art where it's going to go, but just keep producing, brother, putting it everywhere. The first places that people started piecing was subways. I'm painting on subways, and the subway moved, you know what I'm saying? And then it got onto walls, and then it got onto clothes, and then it got onto, so, if you could, I want to put it everywhere. I want to put it everywhere. I do album covers for reggae artists, hip hop artists, drum and bass. I've even done some punk album covers. So, the future is health and to put it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that they activate certain things. They bring thought. They activate thought. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, too, I make money off my art, man. I get to pay my rent and stuff, I got children to feed. So those are the things I work within that. And, again, the spiritual aspect of my work has to be done. So I give it offerings and I do ritual so that could continue. All that could continue, that's the future. I'm going to be doing some murals. I'm going to be doing the same thing, trains, canvases, practicing.
Everything.
Yeah. I would like to do a show where it really gets deep into, what I'm saying? Because we'll talk, eventually I'll bring that. I would like to just get it into, and I don't know, like, Alex Gray. You ever seen Alex Gray work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so imagine a graffiti, that energy. You know what I'm saying? But coming from a Puerto Rican kid, I grew up in Miami, you know what I'm saying? And he came out of that, not Alex Gray, you know what I'm saying? Like I came out, and that's the story that I want to write too, how, where I come from, and got into an enlightened place of not just, I'm just a graffiti writer, you know what I'm saying? I want my graffiti, you look at Alex Gray and then you look at Rasterms, and it carries the same energy, different artwork, but same energy, you know what I'm saying? You know how he did, what was it called? The hallway of something, or, I forget the name of his, but imagine, you know what I'm saying? Like you get to enter in graffiti and feel the spiritual aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? But a giant show, I did a little bit at the Museum of Graffiti, but I wasn't able to go full on, I had ritual. Nobody's ever done that in the Museum of Graffiti. I started the show with my boy Illuminati Congo. He's a hip hop artist from Chicago. He flew in and he gave a ritual to start the show. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand where, the power of writing comes from. You understand? So to do a big show like that, I'm just putting it out there because if anybody could help me set that up, man, I'd love to do it in the future.
Yeah, no, and I definitely get to wherever it is to come see it because I know it'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For these shows, what, just out of like curiosity, like what's your like largest painting that you've done? Because when you talk about Alex Gray, like some of those paintings are, like huge, like they're like 20 feet by like 10 feet. They're like massive.
Yeah.
And same when you walk into like museums, sometimes you like see like the size of this paintings and they're just so huge. It's like you can't even like put them in a house almost. There's like very few walls that are even the size of the painting to put them. But the size and scale when you see the painting just hits you that much harder. Which is why I'm also trying to I'm ordering a bunch of canvas soon. I'm gonna make massive like paintings like 10 feet at least. I've done a few of them before. It's easy to take up the 10 feet space when you're using a spray can and like a fat cap. Like it's not hard to fill out.
Yeah.
So
I've done giant murals, but I've done a couple of big scale paintings. No, I've never. I mean, I'm not. Alex Gray is just an example. His work I like, but I have artists one of my favorite artists in the planet, and to me, I'm talking about abstract artists, is Kazimir Malevich Kazimir. He to me was one that was way ahead. We're talking about 1900s Russian avant-garde art. So, but to do, I've done pretty big pieces, but not huge like that on canvas, but I've done big ones. We can, it'll be cool to do a follow-up on we flash images, so you could understand, you'll be able to see you seeing it on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, to show like a little slide of the transformation. I did give a lecture. I've given 2 lectures. I gave one at a college in Oakland, and that was dope, man. Because the kids were, I hit them with everything. I just didn't go in there and start breakdancing. No, I came in there and said, I'm going to talk about your history and how it can be translated into graffiti. You understand? And they were like, what? And then while I only did this one time. at a college, and then the other one was at somewhere else. But yeah, man, there's different aspect of an interview. It's hard. If I was to be an interview, I'd have to interview a person. It's just like through states. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is when he was talking about this, and then he talked about this, and I'll do one more, and he's talking about this. Because this time, if you would have interviewed me when I was in Bogota, I was talking Spanish most of the time, you know what I'm saying? And I had a different queen back then, and my kids were off in Portland, Oregon, you know what I'm saying? So my energy would have been a little different than what it is now in DC. DC is something else too, brother. I'd right there. Huh?
Is it a good art city? You like it there?
No. It needs more graph. The graph scene is weird here, but they have, the science of the United States. You know what I'm saying? It's here. The science, the structure, the thoughts and ideas are flourishing. The movement, the streets, the alignment, the obelisk. You know what I'm saying? All these things that are here. The occult science of the United States is here. The occult science of it, man. The structuring. Come on, bro. There's streets that are in the shape of, Masonic, about the Masonic layouts. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against that, but I'm saying I'm pro that. But I'm just saying the layout and the movements of it and everything. There's an entity here, and you feel it, man. That's why the graph scene here is kind of weird, man. It's here, but it's not like, I wouldn't call it. I mean, nah, it's not. It's not. I don't want to diss the graph writers that are here. They're dope. I'm saying it needs more. But the museums, you understand? They're all free. The Smithsonian and all these, the African American museum here, everything's free. But the structures of, it's just like graffiti, man. You know what I'm saying? I can equate it to graph. They built the streets a certain way here to activate certain things. There's a movement. Can the obelisk, I call it the obelisk. It's the national monument. I call it the obelisk. It's lined up directly with Lincoln, you know what I'm saying, for a reason. There's water there. So it's just like graph, you know what I'm saying? Why is the arrow pointing this way? Oh, it's sending you a certain direction. It's sending you back. That's why phase 2 was called the master architect, the supreme mathematics. That was phase 2. This is the god of graffiti. Was called, we used to call him Praise True, and also the supreme mathematics. What he did as letters, because it was, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when you talk to graffiti writers, they're just like, well, I get up and the policeman chased me, and those are dope stories. I've been chased by cops. I got my shit. I got those stories too. But to me, the layout, man, the foundation of the movement and the structure and the repetition and the energy that's involved, and why did it become my life? You understand? Why is it that I'm 50, brother? Like, when I was 17, I never saw no 50-year-old graffiti writer. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and there's older ones than me, you know what I'm saying? And they're still doing it. They still got to climb. They still got to do a subway. You know what I'm saying? Because they're starting to do subways again. So you think how the power behind that. So where does it come from? I don't just want to hear, well, yeah, I hate my mom, and I was doing heroin, and I needed to tag. Okay, cool. We know those stories, and we want to hear them too. You know what I'm saying? But what is the essence that's driving? What is the energy that's driving us to want to go out there? Like, I'm ready. I got some stickers. I'll probably hang up with you, and I got to go to the park, because that's where my queen took the bebes. And, on the way there, I'm going to put up stickers. Why? Why am I doing that? You understand? Like, and I feel that it's so embedded into it's just like eating. That's another thing that we got to get into, man. That eating is just not food. Your eyes eat, your nose eats, your ears eat, your pores eat. You know what I'm saying? What you draw on paper, you're eating it, man. This is you, One day we'll get into it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Everything
that you consume around you is, some form of food and energy that you're taking in.
Yeah, it's a food, and it's also, it's a, what was it, man? This guy, I was watching because I don't know if you know Joseph Campbell, his books. Check when you can, check out The Power of Myths, Joseph Campbell. The
Okay.
Power of Myths, right? And one of the dudes was talking about Star Wars. He passed, but he's the reason behind Star Wars. He's the spiritual aspect of Star Wars. George Lucas used to sit with Joseph Campbell, right, to get his lessons, and through Joseph Campbell, he learned the hero's journey, and that's what the whole Luke Skywalker story was the hero's journey. But it became Darth Vader to be the hero. It's beautiful. But the dude that was talking about designing the ships, he was like, he said it just the other day, and I was like, that's it. He says, art is a language. It's speaking to us. You know what I'm saying? So imagine words, imagine letters, you know? That's the importance of graffiti, man. And those two books, the ones that I told you, the one that Ket did, and the other one, the Aerosol Kingdom, those two books, check them out, man. You're going to like it. You're going to be like, oh, shit, you know? Because even the rails on the subways had a name. You know what I'm saying? So imagine monikers. When you're doing monikers, even for me, the rails on the floor, when I do monikers, have a name. You know, I just don't talk about it that much. A lot of people don't want to hear it.
What do you mean, like the rails on the floor, like the tracks?
Yeah, they carry a certain energy, a certain name. Yeah, man. You ever heard of Ramelzi?
No, I have not heard of that.
Yeah,
What's Ramelzi?
He's a graffiti writer.
Okay.
They influenced a lot of graffiti writers back then. Him, Phase 2, Vulcan. Those to me are like gods of graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Phase 2, I got to speak with him. I did him a piece before he passed on a wall. Vulcan, I got to talk to him. I never got to talk to Ramelzi. These guys would give you, you know, within the realms of the way I'm talking. That's how they view, and they have their own, of course, but within that, you know, we're not just going bombing tonight.
So, yeah, Phase 2, like spell like PHASE, right?
PHASE 2.
And you were painting with him
No,
where?
I didn't get to paint with him.
Oh, okay.
I used to speak with him. I used to talk to him, but we never physically met. It'd be online, and I called him a couple of times.
I gotcha. And he was like, where was he based? New York?
New York, oh yeah, New York.
Nice. So like OG. And he said he was the supreme mathematics guy, like very calculated style.
Amazing. The father of style, man.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, that's nuts. If that's what I'm what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
you can tell me if this is him. Probably.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Crazy.
That's him there. That's him there. Yeah, I ran into that piece when I was in I think Minneapolis. I was just walking around with my homegirl. I was up there painting. It was funny. I was painting Prince, and then I was also painting a Jamaican restaurant. And I got to tag and stuff, and I was walking around, and I walked into this, and I was like, you just can't walk into that, brother. You see what I'm saying? I walked into it, and I froze. I was like, I'm standing right in front of, you know, I got to talk to him. You know, he's the reason, one of the reasons why, you know, I love graph so much. You know, him and Vulcan too. Vulcan's still around, but he's laying low.
That's dope. Yeah, I mean, so he definitely like inspired kind of your style and how you see letters and how you.
He inspired me, but there was also dudes in Miami that inspired me more. You know, because I saw them first. You know.
Right.
Yeah, there was you know, a couple of graph writers that inspired me when I was young to work the letter form. Yeah. Miami has a rich history. It's way before Art Basel and all that. It's just, it was always kind of quiet, underground.
Got it. Yeah, I'm trying to get these, like, I have a few designs. These just like whipped out. It was sort of like this entity, and that's like this mind of whatever's in the entity. But
I
Time
like
to,
it. You know, that's the paper, the brown paper.
yeah, it's just I didn't have any like regular. I don't like just like lined paper. I
Right.
just prefer these shopping bags apparently to scribble on.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love that. I
yeah, I
love.
just thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I mean, we'll see how much it is, but I want to get like a full like on embroidery like 11-inch by like 4.5 inch of like one of these designs and like get them on a hoodie, and because I make these bleach tie-dye hoodies that look dope, and then
Yes.
add like a filter in it and get my stuff on to clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know that you painted clothes too, because I've seen these shoes and these jean jackets that are wicked dope.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
what I'm, I guess, trying to do, I mean, I want to keep it to like myself individually selling, but I mean, I'd be open to like uh, getting a deal with a clothing brand if they like are obviously aligned with like having my art, like you said, like no, I'm painting your thing. It's like you're getting my design.
Yeah.
But I feel like your stuff would definitely look amazing on clothes. I mean, like the jean jackets would be sick if you
Mhm.
were selling, but I don't think you sell them on like mass, right? So have
No,
you?
no, I don't. I sell them
They're just
individually. Yeah.
one-off custom ones. So
Well, but
which,
listen, brother, before you start hitting close hard and out, establish your art. Establish it. Establish it. Like,
yeah.
get your name out there. You know what I'm saying? What do you go by an art name?
Yeah, I have like a few different ones, but mostly Riser is what I go by.
Riser. So Riser, you know what I'm saying? Establish that, put it out there, put it on repeat, embed it into people's subconscious, show them your direction, and then that's when people start, you know, hey, who's this? Who's that? You know what I'm saying? That way, you don't do a shirt and it just sits there, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't have to put too much energy in marketing because your marketing is, you know, you building your body of work and being consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty like particular about like the graffiti aspect,
Uh,
but like I am trying to get like a bunch of murals. I think like and do like actual like full scale like massive murals and get uh, that out into the world to get it into people's faces. But I mean, I have hit like rooftops and stuff, and I mostly try and keep it like low key, you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, I
I,
have some wicked paintings that I'm gonna stir up and murals and some stuff coming up. But yeah, I'd love to see you get some like a deal because like your art's so dope. Like you should skate company or some clothing company
oh no,
should
no,
partner with it. You know?
I've done stuff for
Oh yeah,
Satori, and I've done it all, brother. It's just not like mass scale. I just finished a deck for Panama Dan. You ever heard of him? He's like a skate another skater, and it's a more reggae vibe skate deck. He's gonna print them.
dope.
It kind of looks like stained glass. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm always doing something. But as long as
yeah,
I could have, and I'm still doing NFTs. I'm doing all that, brother. I'm gonna continue. And just and put it out there. Yeah. But I stay consistent and always have a body of work. Look,
yeah.
give me a second. Let me show you exactly what I just finished.
It's it's always interesting. I mean, I had no idea what it'd be like to talk to you, and I was super impressed. You're a great guy, and I definitely learned a lot talking to you.
You here? You're back? Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, the family's back, brother.
All good. It was great meeting you,
Yeah,
and I'm
likewise.
sure we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, hit me on Instagram for anything.
Sounds good.
All right, brother.
Have a
Have yourself, man.
take care. Have a good rest of your day.
Peace.
Peace, dude.